And in the UK, the government has revealed its response to the coronavirus. Well, let's get details on that from Juliana Olayinka from our London studio. Good afternoon, Juliana. So finally, the UK government has revealed its response to the coronavirus. What exactly are they saying?
Good afternoon, Bissy. Well, yes, Prime Minister Boris Johnson has just finished wrapping up his news conference with the Chief Medical Officer of the UK, Chris Whitty. It was a 28-page battle plan. That's what the media are calling it. And really, the headline is, do not panic. That's exactly the message that Prime Minister Boris Johnson wants the UK to know. We do have 39 confirmed cases of the coronavirus and over 20,000 people have been tested. Some of the main topics or phases that we will go into in a worst case scenario situation. And they did want to stress that this is only a worst case scenario. There are 4 phases and we're certainly very much only in phase 1. One of them is, yes, we may be seeing troops on the streets of the UK. All 4 countries of the UK, England, Ireland, Scotland and Wales, do have confirmed cases. And if they do get out of hand, which they say it is likely that it would, then there would be troops quarantining people just in case the British public don't adhere to government measures. Also, as well, they said up to 3 million people could be hospitalised. And if 3 million people are hospitalised in the NHS, then they said they are willing to take some retired doctors and nurses out of retirement back into hospitals to be volunteers, and any non-essential care will be delayed. Again, they stress that this is in a worst case scenario, just as we've seen in other places across Europe and in France, which is just a stone's throw away. Sports matches could be cancelled. This will affect all major sports, especially football. I know we've got a lot of football fans watching, and those events would be cancelled if indeed it does get out of hand, and schools will be closed, etc., etc. There were 28 pages within this document, but I would say, Bissy, that's mainly what sums it up. And also as well, the police, they said that any outbreak would see the police not going into low crime level areas, but tackling this head on. So there are various things that the government do have in plan. We've already spoken about them because we had already known that this could happen. But Boris Johnson emphasising that this is a worst case scenario measure.
I'm sure that everyone is hoping that it really doesn't get out of hand. But Mark Carney is warning of large impacts from the coronavirus, but he says that UK banks are resilient to the coronavirus effects. How are Mark Carney's words being digested?
Well, you know, Mark Carney is the outgoing Bank of England governor, but he still is the most important, powerful financial voice in the UK. And when he talks, the markets and the British government definitely listen. He was saying what a lot of central bank governors across the world have been reiterating over the past couple of weeks. And it's that if these cases do indeed spread like wildfire that we have seen in Germany and Italy, then there would be an immediate shock to the British economy. He said that this shock is not likely to last, but it would be impactful, and that the Bank of England will be doing whatever they can to try and combat this. And this could be in trying to stimulate the economy by cutting interest rates. There'll be extra spending for COVID-19. We know that next Wednesday, the new Chancellor of the Exchequer will be giving a spring budget, and they're scrambling around at the moment trying to change some measures because, of course, there has to be some emergency funding in place just in case coronavirus does spread. Going back to what we were discussing in your first question, Bissy, and one of the headlines that the British media are running with at the moment is that a fifth of the UK's workforce could be out of work. If you're a big company, you can handle that. But if you're a small to medium enterprise, which is the engine of the economy, you will need some tax breaks. So there's a lot of discussions at the moment between the Bank of England and the Chancellor of the Exchequer to make sure that all these contingencies are in place.
Let's talk about the numbers now. The UK stock market extended its gains. We saw the FTSE 100 up 2.4% in early trade. Bring us up to speed with the numbers and other market drivers.
Well, there are some triple-digit gains. Like I said, Mark Carney, him suggesting that on the 26th of March, when the new successor, Andrew Bailey, takes place, there's about a 63% chance at the moment. That's the odds-on bet that interest rates will be cut in Britain for the first time in quite a couple of years. That really saw some gains in the market. So at intraday, the all-share is up 2.23%. The FTSE 100 is up 2.95%, and the FTSE 250 is up by 3.22%. And in currencies, the pound is up on the dollar by 0.22%, up on the euro by 0.43%, and it's down on the Japanese yen by 0.08%. So I do want to point out some other two facts, Bissy. The construction data for PMI in February, that came in early this morning at 52.6. So the election bounce is really still rumbling on in that sector. And also as well, for the first time, travel stocks who have taken the lion's share of the brunt of the falls in the FTSE, their shares are up. TUI, the package holiday tour maker, their shares are up 5%. IAG, the owner of British Airways, their shares are up 4.5%. And EasyJet, the budget airline, seeing some relief. Their shares are up 2.2% at intraday.
Thank you, Juliana. Do enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
In Asia, stocks mostly rose today, though gains were capped amid potentially dashed hopes that central banks could take action to combat the impact of the coronavirus outbreak. Mainland China's stocks rose, with the Shenzhen Composite up 1.03% to about 1,888.9, while the Shanghai Composite advanced 0.74% to around 2,992.9. In Hong Kong, the Hang Seng Index was about 0.3% higher as at the final hour of trading, and in South Korea, the Kospi was up 0.58%. Elsewhere, the Nikkei 225 in Japan slipped to 1.22%, finishing at 21,082.73, while the TOPIX declined 1.36%, ending at 1,505.12. In Australia, the ASX 200 closed 0.69% higher. U.S. stock index futures were high also as investors sought to assess the potential economic fallout as a result of the fast-spreading coronavirus. Earlier on, we saw the Dow Jones Industrial Average showing a positive open of more than 50 points. Futures on the S&P 500 and Nasdaq 100 were both slightly high as well. The pre-market moves follow a roaring comeback rally in the previous session that saw the Dow post its biggest percentage gain since March 2009. The index also recorded its largest ever point surge on Monday. We're staying with the markets, but this time we'll check out the numbers coming from the oil market, where prices were higher for a second day today on expectations that central banks are likely to enact financial stimulus to offset the impact of the coronavirus outbreak, and growing optimism that OPEC will order deeper output cuts this week. Brent crude rose 2.4% to $53.16 a barrel, and U.S. West Texas Intermediate rose 2.7% to $47.99 a barrel. Brent and WTI have rebounded somewhat over the past 2 days from a more than 20% drop from their 2020 peak in January that was caused by the signs that the coronavirus spread has dented fuel demand. When we return in just a moment, we'll bring updates from the domestic commodities market and more. Please stay with us.